Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we're looking at 6.5. We're looking at the surface area of a cylinder. So today we know what the volume of a cylinder is. We know how to calculate the area of a circle. And we have been working through this unit and we're starting to have a good understanding of cylinders, the volume, and the capacity that a cylinder can hold. Now, today we're looking at the surface area of a cylinder. So our example cylinder, I'm just going to draw it on the board, is going to look like this. So we are going to have a radius of 4 centimeters and the length or the height of our cylinder is going to be 10 centimeters. So if I'm looking for the surface area of that cylinder, I can't calculate it when the cylinder is still a 3D shape because we're looking at the total surface all the way around the outside of this cylinder. So to make this easier for ourselves, you're going to draw a rectangle on a sheet of paper and the two circles that would be on either end of that cylinder. Now, you may have used a cutout of this in grade 1 or 2 to create a cylinder when you were starting to learn about cylinders, but this can help us find the total surface area of that cylinder, because we know how to find the area of a rectangle or of a square, and we know how to find the area of a circle. So first, let's start with the circle. So an area of a circle, area is equal to pi r squared. Now, we know that area is equal to pi r squared would give us the area of one circle. But if we have two circles, let's think about this. If we have two circles, what can we do to this formula to make that equal two circles? Well, we can multiply the whole formula by 2. So for our area formula for circles, it's going to be area is equal to 2 pi r squared. And that's going to give us the area for both circle pieces of our cylinder. Now, if we're looking at the cylinder, we still have a big space that we have not figured out yet. And that is the square or the rectangle piece of our cylinder. So how we're going to find that is area is going to be equal to the length times the width. So what we have so far is we have the area of our two circles. So I'm just going to name that area of C and area of C2 just to kind of distinguish between the two. So we have our area of our two circles and our area of our single circle. So we no longer need this formula. That is no longer useful to us. What's useful to us is the area of the two circles, but now we have area is equal to length times width. And we don't know what the length of the one side connected to the circle is going to be yet. So if we remember back to our circles unit, when we were finding the perimeter of a circle, that is going to become very handy here. So if I was to unravel this circle and stretch it out, that is going to be what my length of my square or rectangle is going to be. So if we think back to our circles unit, we know that the circumference of a circle is going to be equal to 2 pi r. So we're going to substitute L in for 2 pi r. So you can think of it as circumference, but we want to use our radius because there's a good chance that when we have a cylinder, we will already have the radius to find the area of the circle. So if we can punch in just r, that makes our lives a lot easier. So let's take both of these formulas and try to compile them together. So what we're looking for is the total surface area formula. So we know for the two circles, it's going to be 2 bracket pi r squared. So what that bracket represents is we're multiplying the whole thing. So we're multiplying 2 times whatever we find in the bracket. So we're going to find out what we have in the bracket, and then we're going to multiply it by 2. So let's start with that. We're going to find the area of our two circles first. Now, we're going to add the area that we find of that square or that rectangle that's holding those two circles together. And that formula is going to be 2 pi r times the width. Now why I did it in brackets is because you want to find the 2 pi r, the circumference of the circle, before you find that width. So that way when you multiply it together, it's very simple. It's just like your basic area equals length times width formula. So we're going to use this formula and we're going to run through this example right here. So we can see that we have all the variables that we're going to need. We have our 4, which is equal to our radius. That's our radius of our cylinder. And we have 10, which is equal to the width or the length of our square or rectangle. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start to substitute r into this formula. So we have 2 is equal to pi r, which is going to be 4 squared, plus 2 pi 4 times by 10. Okay, so what we ended up with here is we have our whole formula written out with all the variables plugged into it. Now the only next thing we have to do is punch this into our calculator. If you have a scientific calculator, there's a good chance you could just punch the whole thing in to figure it out. But for you, those of you who do not have a scientific calculator or don't know how to use all the functions, we're going to run through it slowly. So if we have 2, let's figure out what's inside those brackets there. So let's figure out what's pi 4 squared. So I'm going to be doing some rounding here. I know that pi 4 squared is equal to 50.265. So my answer will be slightly different than if for those students who punch it directly into their calculator. Now, the next part that we have to figure out of this equation is 2 pi 4. So let's think, what's 2 pi 4 equal to? You can punch that into your calculators. 25.133 times 10. Now we have a very simple equation that we're going to punch into our calculator. So we have 2 times 50.265, which is going to be added to 25.133 times by 10. So you could calculate both sides separately and then add them all together. So when we add all of this together, we are going to get, when we added that all together, we're going to get the answer 351.86. Now let's think back to our previous video of where we were looking for the volume of a cylinder. Now this isn't a volume of a cylinder, this is the total surface area of the cylinder. So let's think, what are our units going to be for this cylinder? Well, they're going to be centimeters squared. So our final answer for this problem is going to be 351.86 centimeters squared. So let's just review the formula that we have used. So we have the formula surface area is equal to 2 pi r squared. So that's finding the area of the circles. So that's the area of the circles. Now if we look at the second half of this equation, we have 2 pi r times the width, and that is equal to the square or the rectangle, so in between the two circles. So knowing all this information, we can now use our surface area formula to figure out what the surface area of a cylinder would be. So thanks for watching this video. If you have any questions, I'll answer it in the live session. Thanks for watching.